an opening statement, then we'll open it up for questions.
Well, really hard-fought game. Credit our guys that hanging in there. Sometimes it's not easy. It's not always going to be your night, but found a way right about the 8-minute mark to dig in, get a little more solid defensively, and then I thought Juwan and then Romeo, both those threes that those guys made really gave us the confidence to finish it off. But you got to credit UC Davis. We knew coming in the game how well coached they are. That's a team that won 22 games last year with a lot of guys back from a conference championship. So, we knew what we were getting into in terms of being able to compete against them. They do a good job. So, credit to them. But we found a way, and, hopefully we can get a little bit better here leading into Tuesday. We have some time, hopefully, to recover and get a guy or two back maybe, which would really help us.
Juwan doesn't come out at all tonight. Finishes 3 points shy of tying his career high for scoring. Just what do you like about what he gave you tonight?
I mean, we needed everything he had. In the first half, he got us going with his energy level. Offensively, he got going. Defensively, he tried to do a pretty good job, I thought, on the glass. And then in the second half, he's a man in there. And without him playing all 40 minutes, I didn't feel we would be able to win the game. And kept asking him if he was all right, and he never really flinched, so to speak, in terms of his conditioning or whatnot. But it was a great performance by him, and he's had two this week, two senior performances, I thought.
Coach, just talk about his three-point shot and how far that has come.
He's worked very, very hard on it, something we spent a lot of time in the off season. I think he's a much more confident shooter right now than he's ever been, and I thought it showed tonight with his ability to let it go. And, it was good to see. Obviously, making five in a game for him has got to be probably a high. But, he's a good shooter. I think when he takes good ones, he has a chance to make them.
I know you don't ever want to focus too much on any one guy, but at the risk of oversimplification, do you feel like your guys have the confidence in Juwan and Romeo that they can look to them if things are getting a little weird or hinky on the offensive end just to make something happen, get something going?
Yeah, I think when you're in these type of games, when you're possession by possession, you're trying to claw your way to get those guys the ability to, catch the ball where we want to get it and be able to play through those guys. Right now, as crazy as it sounds, we just – the natural people that are in the game at certain times, will actually even get a little bit more chemistry out there with our experience level, especially at the guard slot. And we'll put guys in better situations, to take advantage of those two guys. But those guys have confidence. It was a good week for our team to be able to earn two hard-fought wins when we haven't played particularly great. And you're not always going to play great. And I think the rest of this month in December is going to be, it's going to be a real challenge. So to be able to have a couple tough, hard-fought wins is good.
Romeo said they had led all the way, I think, till 7:20 left. He went baseline and scored to tie it at 54. He said that was a set that was called for him. Remember that?
Yeah, he went baseline on the guy and was able to get going there. He tied the ball. I thought once he tied the ball game up, obviously the energy level went up, and the crowd obviously played a big role again in the last 8 minutes, helping us pull it out.
Anything else, Coach? Go ahead.
It may be as simple as UC Davis just not making shots down the stretch, but what do you like from your team the final kind of 8 minutes of defense when you guys go on something like a 25-6 run to close out the game? What do you think was different at that period than at different junctures in the game?
I think we did a little bit better job guarding the ball. They were piercing us, pretty much all night. They twisted a lot of their ball screen angles against us at the last second. We just got beaten straight line a ton. Thought in the last 6 minutes, 7 minutes, we were a little bit better on the ball, which kept them in front of us, which hopefully was causing challenge 2-point shots. And we also drew a couple fouls as well. So we'll see. We have to watch the film. Obviously, that's the worst our defense has been all season, just in terms of being able to get stops and get some things done. So, I think getting back to work a little bit practice-wise is important for us. We haven't been able to really it's been a really tough week on the available guys, so we've been trying to manage that. But you have to work every day. You have to consistently bring your habits to the floor, and I think you're seeing a little bit of slippage just due to our inability on either end of the floor really to be working at it hard every day. We're trying. I think this would be a good weekend, obviously, if we could get a couple guys back, even if it's just for non-contact, just more bodies in practice.
Zach?
It's a little bit out of left field. Justin is a little bit more subdued statistically than some other guys, but I think he finishes plus 19. That's the best number tonight. Are there ways that maybe he's learning to impact the game beyond just points or rebounds that he's maybe embracing, I guess?
Yeah, I think the big thing is his ability, hopefully to continue to be a guy that we really trust defensively. He's guarding a lot of guys right now that are perimeter-oriented front court players, and he's doing a decent job there. He's, much better around the basket than he's been in the past, and I thought he helped us tonight. We got to continue to get him to rebound the ball. We got to continue to, be able to get him going in transition a little bit better, and he's hanging in there. He had a big three, obviously, late in the game, and a good drive in that 8-minute stretch. So he had key 5 points for us.
I thought UC Davis had really good offensive action. They would utilize almost the entirety of the shot clock, and then they'd spring somebody open for a three. Is that as well as anybody's played against you?
They're very organized offensively in terms of their ball screen motion and how they do things. They lift you. Their front court guys do an amazing job of sprinting and then changing angles at the last minute. They had our guards really confused at times in terms of being able to, get over a screen or be able to contain the dribble, so to speak. And then, for the first time all season, A.J. John played like A.J. John played a year ago, coming in shooting 15% from the floor. We knew eventually the guy was going to break through. He's a 40% three-point shooter. So I think that was one key deal tonight, that they had a front court player that was obviously really causing some commotion out there in terms of spacing. So they did a good job. They got a great point guard. I mean, he's really, really quick, and they get it to the paint. They open the floor up, and like you said, they make you guard it. They make you turn. They make you guard it, and you got to be. You got to be really, really solid. They shot the ball extremely well tonight.
Okay, Mike, then Alex.
You said you're hopeful about getting Jerome back with the team this week. Is he back in any way? Or I guess
yeah, Jerome is back. He wasn't feeling real well tonight, so he didn't come to the game. He was in the facility earlier. He is back on campus, yeah.
I'm sorry, just follow up. Anything more definitive on what's actually he's dealing with?
Not right now. I mean, he's had a couple procedures on his leg, and I think we've got it down to a little bit where he's at right now, but it's still wait and see on recovery. He's had a tough last week, but everything's indefinite right now, just in terms of like timetable or what we're doing or when he can come back.
You mentioned this week being tough with kind of 2 hard-fought games. When you're playing as many young guys as you are, as many minutes, how valuable is it for them to have these type of experiences early in the season?
This is like, by the fire, man. Just throw them in the fire. They're having to figure out, how to get a stop late in the game, how to get a big bucket. They've never been there before, and sometimes you get down at home and it doesn't feel fun. Most of the time, they've been expected to be up big, and so I think those guys learning this week. Every game's hard. There's a lot of different ways you can win them, and to have those guys in there, it's really invaluable. You know what I mean? And hopefully down the stretch, as we get healthier and you get into the thick of the things. I mean, everyone kind of knows what the Big Ten looks like right now, and it's every night's going to be very difficult.
Archie, we kind of touched upon UC Davis's three-point shooting tonight, but what do you guys have to do better in terms of guarding the perimeter, especially with a team like Duke coming up next week?
It's guarding the ball. It's getting back in transition. It's keeping guys in front of you. And, I thought we got beat, off the dribble way too much in the first half, which had us in rotation all over the place. They made some tough ones too, but without question, this is a driving basketball game coming up on Tuesday with their ability to really just spread the floor and play. So it's going to come down at the end of the day, how good are we going to be individually on the ball? I think the better you are there, the less you have breakdowns.
All right, Coach, thank you.
Thanks.